At last month's Lave Cup, Roger Federer, a longtime close friend of rival Rafael Nadal, had an emotional farewell, but there are no immediate plans for the Spaniard to follow suit. Bearing in mind that last month was the month of farewells for tennis, there was the goodbye of both Serena Williams and Federer. This is good news for the sport. Stay with us as we explore what Nadal is thinking about his immediate future. First up, a year of good tennis and injury for Nadal. The Spaniard is quoted as saying he is not even thinking about his retirement. In an interview, Nadal, having won 22 Grand Slams, added that it will simply be when it will be. His body, according to him, is not working all that well lately, but his mind wants to keep going. A Spanish media house asked Nadal about possible retirement shortly after the French Open. He said, "I don't know. I'm not at that moment yet. I was close to that time this year. I'm not going to lie to you. During Roland Garros, I thought that it might be my last tournament. This is the reality." Although from then on, everything went very bad physically. I broke my abdominal twice at Wimbledon and in New York. When asked why he considered retirement at Roland Garros, he was quick to add, "It has been an accumulation of important misfortunes, added to all these personal things. But I'm not in that moment and don't want to think about that moment. Today, what I want is to get back to normality, for everything to go well with my personal life, which is the top priority, and then organize my life in the right way. Have peace of mind in my personal and professional life." Then, it could have been a good season. The first two legs of the 2022 calendar Grand Slam in Australia and France went Nadal's way, but in the second half of the year, the injury wheels came off again. An abdominal tear forced him to withdraw from Wimbledon before his Nick Kyrgios semifinal, and then he also went down in the fourth round of the US Open against France's Tiafoe. The continual inconvenience this brilliant sportsman experiences marred what could have been an extraordinary season. The results were there at Roland Garros and in Australia, but fans left with a bitter taste because of the persistent injuries. He was a top candidate to take Wimbledon, but had to withdraw in the semi while he was playing very well. And then there were the issues in New York too. This must be frustrating for Nadal, because all a top athlete wants to do is play and win. Also, injury has been a part of Nadal's career. Rafael Nadal has won 22 majors, but at the same time, he has missed 11 Grand Slam events. This dates back all the way to his 2003 debut, and he has withdrawn from 5 Slam events during the same period. Notwithstanding, he has shown the physical prowess and mental stamina to be the top men's Slam winner in the game. When asked for an opinion about Nadal's mindset, his uncle, Tony Nadal, told Dario AS that Rafael will probably keep on playing for as long as he believes he has a chance of winning. When he starts going to tournaments and feels he doesn't have a chance anymore, his uncle thinks he will quit. Then the comparison with Federer. Tony Nadal then compared Rafael to Roger Federer, who is 5 years older. Between 2012 and 2017, Federer didn't win. That's 5 straight years. But he walked onto the court every time anyway, and he kept making it into the semifinals. According to Tony, this is because Federer still believed he could win, even though he wasn't. When asked how much time he thinks Rafa has left, Tony became vague. He clearly wasn't sure. He did say, however, that he believed it would depend on the way Nadal's rivals were playing and on the way his body held out. He was quick to add that Rafael plays for himself. He loves the competition, but doesn't think beforehand whether Federer, Djokovic, or Alcaraz will be there. Now, the Nadal-Djokovic history goes all the way back to 2010. These two players are both incredible baseliners. In their first major finals in the 2010 US Open, they spent 43 minutes on the court. Nadal eventually beat Djokovic 6-4, 5-7, 6-4, and 6-2 to secure the Grand Slam. He was only 24 at the time. Nadal played high-level tennis during those 2 weeks in New York, and this was his 3rd consecutive major crown. Throughout, he dominated the serve and return, and he ended up dropping only 1 set during 7 tough encounters before lifting the crown and writing history. And nail-biting moments make for a memorable match. Nadal called Djokovic the ultimate rival and competitor after the match. Here's how it went down. In general, while playing behind the second serve, Nadal was the better of the two. In the short and advanced exchanges, he had the edge. For instance, in the opening game, he snatched a break with a blistering backhand and then sprayed a forehand to sacrifice the advantage. In Game 5, Nadal broke serve again with a down-the-line forehand winner. At 4-3, he blasted 3 winners, and this sealed the set with a hold at 15 in the 10th game. The gap increased and settled into a fine rhythm when Djokovic managed to forge a 3-1 advantage in the second set and held it locked. In Game 7, Nadal broke back. He brought a big one home and served for the win at 4-4. Then, the rain brought a second to the play for around 2 hours. When play resumed, Djokovic broke at 6-5 and leveled the overall score by securing the set. In the third set, the Serb played against 11 breakpoints. points and simply could not remain on level terms with Rafael Nadal. In the third game, Nadal earned a break. He served magnificently to take the set 6-4. This brought him closer to the finish line. He used this momentum to steal Djokovic's serve at 1-1 and then 3-1 in set 4, and this broke the Serb's resistance and sealed the deal on Nadal's serve at 5-2. Also, Nadal is always the sportsman. During the post-game interviews, Nadal called the feeling of winning against Djokovic fantastic, but he added, "It is never easy to beat the Serb." He ascribed his victory to playing at his best in the most important moments of the match. He also said, with Djokovic playing so aggressively and taking the ball so early, he knew it was going to be one of his toughest encounters yet. Beating Djokovic from the baseline is difficult because he hits so well from both wings. But Nadal said he felt good on the court from the beginning of the encounter and managed to keep both his focus and intensity. He also acknowledged that Djokovic had played 5 sets the day before and that he knew the Serb would be tired. But, said Nadal, he had to give everything to beat Djokovic. Anything less wouldn't have done it, since the Serb was playing at his very best. He also added that he believed Djokovic could win every notable event in the world, and in typical Rafael Nadal fashion, he wished him the best of luck. Now, back to 2022. 2022 was a year of highways and byways in international tennis. Between them, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal shared the first 3 slams of the season. His vaccination status had cost the Serbian in 2022. He skilled the US Open as well as the Aussie Open, but ended up triumphant in Wimbledon for the 7th time in his tennis career. And remember, this is his 4th Wimbledon title in a row. Injuries plagued the Spaniard, but despite that, he pocketed a win in Australia and again in Roland Garros in the French Open. And ab tear killed his performance at the US Open in Wimbledon, and this stopped him from aiming for his 23rd career Grand Slam. This will also be the year that is remembered for Roger Federer's retirement. Hailing from Basel, Switzerland, the 41-year-old Roger Federer waved goodbye to tennis at this year's Lave Cup, which happened at the O2 Arena in London between the 23rd and 25th of September. The King really wanted to give himself the last ride and go out with fanfare, but his right knee told him no in a loud and firm voice. And finally, who is who in the greatest ever debate after this season? Well, isn't this the eternal question? Without a doubt, Roger Federer probably had the greatest influence on the game. But in terms of results, the answer simply has to be Novak Djokovic. When all 3 in the elite trio of Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic have retired, it is a safe guess to say Djokovic will probably have won the most Grand Slams, maybe even the most tournaments. Remember, one of the things that make the game of tennis so incredible is the on-court and off-court humility. Even greats like Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal are still only human, and they know and live this fact. And with that, we end this video. Please keep looking out for our next upload.